Okay. Hello and welcome to the Pipan Foods webinar today. My name's Emily, I'm from the Birchal team. Thank you so much for coming. I'd like to just start off this session with an acknowledgement of country if possible. So I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay my respects to their elders past and present and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today. I'm super excited today. We've got Phil and Mike from Pipan Foods here. Welcome, guys. Thanks so much for joining us and getting on board to answer a few questions. If anybody has any questions during the session, please pop them in the Q&A box and I'll get to those after we have started the presentation. I'll let you guys take it away.
Okay, I'm Phil and this is Mike. G'day. If anyone is out there, hello. So, Pipan Foods. Obviously, we're in the middle of an EOI and today's webinar is about giving you more information about our business. We started in 2018. I've got 16 slides. We're going to do a lot of talking. Please ask lots of questions and I'll just get straight into it. Oh, sorry. Go back to slide one. Okay, so a quick agenda. I'm going to run through who we are, introducing the Pipan family, what we've done to date, what we're going to do, a bit about our products and our mission, and what we're going to spend the money on from the raise. So we are a family business. I started this with my wife, Sam, in 2018, with backing from my sister and her father-in-law. We are chaired by my sister-in-law, Rach. And I co-founded the business with two longtime friends, Nash and Ivan. And Mike has recently come on board. We've known each other for 20 years because we play football together. We believe in working with good people, intelligent people, with people that we love, and we all want to succeed together. Sorry, technical difficulties. So what we do, we have a mission to make children's nutrition fun and easy. And we build products based around the pillars of no added sugars, nothing artificial, great design, great taste, Australian sourced ingredients and Australian made. The Australian sourced, Australian made is really key because when we started this business, we had a heavy focus on the export. We really wanted to make sure that we could improve Australia's standing as an exporter internationally. We wanted to do that through value added products that were great for kids, supporting the Australian economy. So why we do it, why kids' health? With everything we know about health, unfortunately, the stats around kids' health is still very damning. From the Australian Bureau of Statistics, you can see that 1 in 6 kids are obese, 30% of kids are constipated, 94% of kids don't eat the recommended daily intake of vegetables, 50% of kids don't eat enough fibre. This is in a world where we are supposed to be getting more and more educated with more and more access to information. What's constantly happening is multinational companies are still bringing out more and more food products that aren't healthy for kids. And the messaging around that can be very confusing for parents. And parents have busy lifestyles and we go for convenient options and we go off packaging and we end up choosing a product that's not great for our kids. And obviously the stats reflect that. So Mike and I are both dads. When I became a father 6 years ago and was learning about food for kids, I was overwhelmed by the amount of information out there. And then you couple that with the fussiness of a child and what they want to eat and what they enjoy, and it can be very difficult to feed kids. So my wife said to me back in the day, because I've got a background in food, so why don't we start making food that's both healthy for kids and fortified? So if they can give them stuff they love with the added ingredients and nutrition that they need, you're going to feel better about at least them having something in their diet. And the other part of the why we do it is a massive market. So the CSIRO did a study on the potential for the market for Australian companies focusing on fortified foods, both domestically and export. And they said for Australian companies, it's a $7 billion market. Now, that's not the size of the market globally. That's the size of the available market for Australian companies. Leaning into a $7 billion market means if you can tap into the Australian market and given the current potential that Australian companies have to export, that's the size of the available market. And then within that market, the current competitors are only facing into the adult space. There's no one really focused on children's nutrition. This is a huge white space for us to come in with good quality products, solid fortification, backed by nutritionists, to build a huge brand and to become Australia's biggest children's nutritional products. And that's what our goal is. Feel free to add anything at any stage.
Good job.
So what have we done to date? We started the company in 2018, and as I mentioned earlier, we had a heavy focus on the export market. My background was in infant formula. I was an aerospace engineer who had an early midlife crisis, who went into international food trade. I started traveling the world, trading dairy commodities with the second largest dairy trading company in the world. Through dairy commodity trade, I started specializing in infant formula and infant formula ingredients. And in 2014, 2015, there was a boom of infant formula, especially imported infant formula into China. And so I started learning a lot about nutrition, a lot about children and babies' nutrition, nutritional supplements, ingredients, fortification. Then I started managing Australia's largest infant formula manufacturer. And through my time there, we started to see a real dip. The Chinese market started to change regulations. Infant formula was no longer the buzz, but we identified that there was a big opportunity within the children's supplement space. Australia is known in the export market for quality. It's known for great quality milk supply. And so we thought, okay, if we can tap into its reputation for quality, the high availability of ingredients, nutritional ingredients, as well as innovation through design, we can build a brand, an Australian brand, selling over into China or into Southeast Asia, targeting children, targeting what is a ballooning market, and build a proper export brand in the way some Australian companies have failed to do in the past, in terms of building up a brand that is made in Australia, designed for the overseas markets. So that's what we set about doing in 2018. And we developed a good base. We're in 7 markets across China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Macau, Cambodia, and Australia. We've had great government support from Austrade and Global Victoria. We're in over, I think at last count, it was 400 stores across those markets. We've got our own Tmall site, which is for anyone unaware, that's one of the largest e-commerce platforms in the world. So we built our own flagship store on Tmall, which allowed us to sell direct to consumer in the Chinese market. We have over 8,000 positive reviews on our Chinese Tmall store. So everything was going really well. But I need to point out that, unfortunately, we hit some challenges. So year to date, even earlier this year, things were flying. Year to date sales to China were 750,000. However, obviously, since 2020, international trade has got more and more difficult. First, there was the pandemic, the trade war, and now ongoing lockdowns in China mean that a lot of our sales to China started to slow. Which is when I called Mike. Late last year, I said, Mike, I've built this business. We're 3.5 years old. We're heavily export focused, but the export market is getting more and more challenging. I need to start to be able to do stuff in the domestic space. I don't have the brand in domestic sales. We didn't have the team for it. Our business advisor said, go and find a gun, bring him into the business, establish yourself as a proper domestic company. And so that's what we started doing. So late last year, again, feel free to jump in at any moment. No?
Good job.
Okay. So late last year, we launched a new product with some childhood friends of ours. This opportunity had been on the horizon for a while, but without Mike, we weren't sure if we would know a way forward on how to execute it. So my wife, who is not here with us right now, she's from the sunny town of Cobram in Victoria, with some childhood friends of hers. We had the opportunity to start investing in some new technology, start producing a new range of snacks for kids. What I might do at this point is, Emily, if I click on a YouTube video, that'll work, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, let me play the video. That's an easier way for me to explain what we're currently doing with our new range of snacks.
Perfect.
These are our wonderful chippy apples, a delicious 100% guilt-free snack, free from additives and preservatives with absolutely no added sugar. And this is how they're made. Supermarkets reject millions of Murray River orchard apples each year, even though there's nothing wrong with them. They still look pretty good to me. At Pipan, we take these apples and give them a new home. Your lunchbox. These apples go through a process of washing, peeling, coring, and slicing before they are placed in our state-of-the-art drying vaults. Our unique drying process gives them the signature chippy apple crunch. We pack chippy apples on site and send them all over Australia. And that's how we do it. Chippy apples. Find them at all good retailers.
All right. So that was chippy apples. That's the first snack of many.
Even though their seeds are packed with cyanide.
Let me just
apples are more likely to keep that doctor away than have you calling 911. Welcome to Superfoods. And don't...
Nothing like a little technical difficulty.
Yeah. Yeah, so we launched chippy apples as the first snack. So let me just give a little bit of background on the technology. We're Australia's only vacuum drying technology plant. Others use freeze drying. You see a lot of fruit and veg on the market that's been freeze dried. That's a nitrogen dried product. Our products are dried in a vacuum, very low pressure with it and baked at a very low temperature of 70 degrees. So the end product is fundamentally different to what's freeze dried, and we would tell you that it's better on taste and better on texture, and that, you know, we surveyed 128 people, and 128 people all preferred our product. We started working with apples because they're readily available all year round, and we've got 3 flavour varieties that we've brought to market. Mike's going to give my voice a rest now, tell you about the last couple of days. We've been up in Sydney at Naturally Good Expo presenting the product.
Yeah, thanks, Gom. Naturally Good is probably Australia's biggest premier expo for natural products. So who comes there is all the retailers across Australia, all the distributors across Australia. It's a large grocery event, and you know, all of the best startup health and wellness brands are there in both food but also beauty and skincare. And we spent a couple of days talking to retailers across Australia and consumers coming there as well. And there was a huge pull for the product. One of the great things about chippy apples, as Phil was telling you, is that it's a pretty unique product with a technology that delivers quite a unique texture, where kids, they get the freeze-dried product a bit chewy, can be a bit hard on their teeth, whereas this behaves like a crisp, which is more what they're used to. It's a bit of more of an indulgent eat. But in the package, all there is 100% Australian apples. So retailers really liked it, distributors really liked it. We've got high expectations of what we think the potential of this product is across Australia. And it's going to do 2 things for us. The first thing is it's going to bring in some predictable and sustainable revenue for us. And the second thing is it's going to help us build our domestic route to market that we can start to utilise for the funnel of innovation that Phil and Nash and Ivan have been working on over the last couple of years. And we've got a pretty full funnel, as you'll see from some of our documents that you'll start to read. But we've got some squeezy pouches, some kids' nutrition shakes, and our existing portfolio as well.
That was great. You should be doing the whole presentation. So back to the presentation. So as Mike said, we presented yesterday and we had an explosion of interest. So we've thrown out some numbers of goals for the next 12 months, right? And our goal is to get all 3 varieties across 2,000 stores nationwide. There's a huge gap in the market for healthy children's snacks that are lunchbox friendly, that are sustainable, that tick all the boxes that we've been talking about. And then from there, I mean, this manufacturing facility and this technology is brand new. As I said, we're the only ones in Australia that have it. And we've mastered the art of making apples and using upcycling apples, but there's no need for us to stop there. Food wastage in this country is humongous. And we set these ridiculously high cosmetic standards for fruit and veg, which means there's so much fruit and veg for us to work with. We just need to prove out the R&D and the manufacturing process, and we can start putting pears and mangoes and carrots and cauliflowers, a whole range of snacks. And we believe the demand is in the market. With our current manufacturing facility, we could make one 10 times the size and be running it 2 to 3 shifts a day, 5-6 days a week. Which I'd like to point out is fantastic because our manufacturing facility is based in regional Victoria, and we're very passionate about bringing more and more employment into that sector, into that part of the country, and providing more opportunity for people.
The story's got a lot of pull in the market. Tomorrow, Phil's going up to Cobram. Channel 9 are coming to do a story on chippy apples, on the story of upcycling fruit, the potential employment we're going to be bringing to the region, and shine a light on what we think is going to be a pretty successful kid snack for Australia. We also had the Herald Sun this morning, is that correct? You can tell the guys about that.
Yeah. There's been plenty of interest. I mean, word's out there now about what we're doing to upcycle fruit, and plenty of positive messaging is getting out there, which is great because, with people getting behind us, we can do more and more of this. But that's not to say that everything else that we've done in the past is going away. So if we are riding out, we've still got all our export contacts, and we've still got the first 17 SKUs that we produced as a company. So one part of the business that we're working on is a direct-to-consumer subscription model for kids. We've got a great range of products that we're going to be bringing out monthly. That's going to allow us to utilise all of the R&D and the product base that we built across the first 4 years to tap into the Australian market and to build from there. And Mike's got a great model on how we're going to move forward on that. And these are things that we can execute without having to bring more and more staff into our business, because given our current staffing base and our skills within the business, we've got the capabilities to pull this off.
I'll just second on that.
Yeah.
So like Phil said, these guys built I think that the start of a pretty successful export business with children's nutrition products and the Mo Milk that you saw earlier. We're starting to gain great traction. Phil put up the revenue figure, 750K, this financial year. We can no longer rely on that revenue. So we're already representing the fact that that area of the business is going to be the future of the business financially. And so it has driven this pivot. It's driven this pivot onto chippy apples and a domestic route to market build. So, building out chippy apples and snacking throughout Australia. We see heaps of potential, not only in retail, but also direct to consumer sales. I spent best part of 3 years over in Chicago studying the health and wellness market, in particular the direct to consumer space. And what I was seeing was a lot of brands building recurring revenue based subscription model businesses where there's a consumer need on a frequent basis, a habitual basis. And one of the things that we'd love to do with kids and parents is to start to teach them about good nutrition, by harnessing daily habits. And we know kids love milkshakes, and we know we make a pretty damn healthy milkshake that's fortified with all the nutrients kids are missing out on. And so what we want to do, what we've been building plans to do, is to launch a subscription-based healthy kids shake. We're planning to launch that in roughly October this year. We're working on a pretty cool formulation and a business model, a new identity for it. We're halfway through the e-commerce build on that as well. So we've got pretty high expectations for that, and a good chunk of the funds that we're raising now is going to go towards performance marketing that business, as we have a goal to achieve 1,000 subscriptions in the first 12 months on our way to 15,000 subscriptions is the goal for that business over time. Given the amount of kids of the age that we're targeting, between kind of 3 to 8 years old, 15,000 subscribers, which would give us a very, very healthy business. I'm not going to get too heavy into what our revenue expectations are, but you can probably do the math on the back of an envelope if you like. It's not a huge percentage of the population in terms of the total addressable market. So we think it's a pretty achievable target for us and would give us a really good sustainable business.
That was good. Right, so I mean, these are just some summary slides, right? But we've established a great network of customers, suppliers, distributors, both here and overseas. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, but given our existing network through export customers, we've already in the last week and a half been able to sell a container of chippy apples to Malaysia, a container of chippy apples to Hong Kong. We're in the process of signing a distributor through Japan, and we've got a heads of agreement going with India as well. So we're seeing that the export market is starting to bounce back. I don't want to predict that it's going to come back in a week or a month. I mean, it's very hard to know what's going on, but we will continue to build that side of the business as we do also focus on the domestic market. We've got, as Mike mentioned, we've got a great portfolio of products ready to release. We do all our own R&D in-house. So we've got fortified nighttime desserts for kids. We've got our daily shake. We've got all of what we want to do with the snacking to start learning about extrusion and different vegetable and fruit supplies that we can go in the snacking. Where we're at now is we just need cash to continue to increase our impact. A good cash injection now into the business allows us to grow in many different avenues. I think we've already covered all of this, but just to reiterate, Chippy Apples we exhibited yesterday. We've got a great proposition, and that was proved out yesterday. And I think over the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to see this product really spread far and wide. Just on the traction we've had over the last couple of months since we launched, we got into a lunchbox provider who does a couple of primary schools once a week for their lunchboxes. And we're already doing more than 100 units a week just through those outlets. We've seen plenty of great support within the community. Kids love the product and parents feel good about giving it to them. And as I've put at the end there, we want to put a huge dent in the market for potato chips because that's obviously a huge market. And then we've got the e-commerce plan that Mike mentioned. And then export, we will continue. We will continue to try and push. Yeah. I think no point repeating myself on all of that, but we have set the foundations up for a good business.
Maybe take a pause and see if the crowd has any questions for us.
Yeah, pause, or that's also the end of what I had put together.
Very good.
Amazing stuff, guys. So in terms of our first question that's come through, are you working on a prospectus or can you distribute your accounting reports for us to look at?
Yes, not today, but they're obviously going to be, as part of the Birchal campaign, they will be available.
So in terms of Prospective Financials, from a crowdsourced funding raise, that's not something that the boys will be able to share with you, but they will be sharing an offer document when their offer goes live in a couple of weeks' time. And secondly, what do you get for your cash investment? You will get fully paid ordinary shares in the company. In terms of your IP and defensibility of your product, do you expect to see any issues surrounding this?
I mean, there's two different sides to it. In terms of all of the formulations we've created for children's nutritional products, we own that IP. We've done the R&D. We did a lot of lab work and a lot of work on different ingredients on the formulation to make sure it had that fortification, but also tasted great. So we own all of that. The IP in regards to our vacuum drying facility. So we're currently in a joint venture. We're going to further invest in that to secure our partnership with that's run by a company called MP Harvest. Some longtime friends of mine. That was very difficult to bring to market. That's not something that we jumped on Alibaba and ordered. We had to bring over expertise, specialty expertise from Taiwan. There was a lot of work to getting visas, getting the production plant up and running, and then proving out the process. I'm not saying that someone else couldn't do it. It is not easy to do, and finding the specialty skills in that area of manufacturing would be hard for someone to replicate.
Yeah, absolutely. And how does it compare with competitors in the market in terms of quality and price point?
Price point's the same. What you find with freeze-dried fruit is that it crystallizes. So when you eat it, it goes through your teeth. That's a big selling product that's doing really well. I'm trying to politely say our product is better.
Yeah, great. What research and testing have you done on the subscription boxes in Australia?
We've been selling direct to consumer online through our Mo Milk range for a while, and we've got a subscription going at the moment of what we have already people subscribing. And we know that, and then that's with very little marketing and advertising. So we know that there's definitely a ramp there. We've also identified that our current Mo Milk range is, it's quite a highly specialized range. So it's aimed at, a specific part of the market, parents who are quite educated on fortification and might be looking for specific needs for their child. If we step just below that and we look at daily nutrition and serving to parents who know their child may only want to eat toast all day, and they want to do something every day for their child, that's a larger addressable market with a more simplified product. And we think that's the belly that we can punch into. That's a bad analogy, but
yeah, no stress at all. In terms of your distribution throughout Australia, what kind of stores are you stocked in at the moment?
We're just starting. We've got a handful of independent grocery stores in Victoria. We've got a couple of Go Vita stores, and the purpose of those guys was to start to get a bit of a product market fit, analyze the run rates, and use that to take the story to say, hey, consumers are really enjoying this. It's working well for retailers. What we're finding is it's a bit of an incremental purchase to the basket, which is great. That's what retailers want. They want expandable consumption. It's a pretty impulsive product, as you can imagine. The mums at the counter, the kids with them, they want a snack when they're shopping. And, this is a healthy snack. It's got a lot of green lights. We've seen some really good traction when we get a countertop unit in the transaction zone. Used to call that the hot zone when I used to work in confectionery snacking for both Mondelez and Mars Wrigley. So I feel pretty confident that we've got a really good story to sell this in. We've got a few meetings lined up over the course of the next couple of weeks off the back of the last couple of days at the trade fair with big distributors. One of the ones that we're talking to currently has a portfolio of kind of 2,000 end users or 2,000 retail outlets that they're saying that they could potentially get this product into. And that'd be across independent grocery, petrol and convenience. So imagine like IGAs and any independent grocery stores, petrol and convenience stores, as well as hotels, restaurants, cafes, and anywhere that you might imagine, a healthy snack might retail well. So we're pretty optimistic there. We met with the two largest Australian retailers over the last couple of days as well. So I'm sure you can imagine who those folks are, and they were pretty buoyant when they came and spoke to us. So it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not going to say, hey, we're going to be in 2,000 doors tomorrow, but with a bit of grind and a bit of hustle, I've got, and the run rates and the success that we've had in the stores that we've got this in currently, I'm pretty buoyant on the future of this range.
Yeah, fantastic. In terms of the pipeline of your production, how long does it take to get a product from an apple, say, into stores?
Not long. The quality, the actual manufacturing process is pretty quick. It's peeling, coring, drying, and then vacuum drying, packing off. So, like a day to get that done. And then there's 7 days of quality testing to ensure that the product is safe for consumption. Our facility is all HACCP approved. So we turn around things pretty quickly, and there is no shortage of unwanted apples in Australia.
Yeah, fantastic. We've had a question about how much you're looking to raise, the valuation, and in terms of that, that's something that will be released in the offer document that will come out in 2 weeks. So keep an eye out for that one. We'll be communicating with you when that's going to be released. So are you going to be planning to offer healthy snacks that would be even harder for competitors to copy?
Yeah, that's the plan. So if you look at the Tamale brand, which is, I think they're from California, is that right? Don't know. Okay, hoping you'd know that. A lot of what's out there in the vegetable snacking range is imported. There's not a huge amount of it being made. I think there's veggie chips. Are they made here in Australia? Yeah. But there's not a huge offering from Australia using Australian fruit and veg. I think there's still a lot of R&D to be done, but it's not rocket science, right? It's, what fruits can I mix together? What natural oils can I use? What oils don't I need? What ingredients don't I need in food production is a large part of how we approach things. So we've already run a different bunch of fruits through our line without doing anything to them. We know that we can get mangoes tasting fantastic. We make a mango crisp, which is amazing. The challenge for us with mangoes is you only get mangoes for 2 months a year. Right? And it's hard to stock a national retailer with a product you can only make for 2 months a year. So once we get a big enough footprint nationally, we can run seasonal campaigns. That's certainly stuff that we can do. But it is limitless what we can do with our machines.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of when you raise, what percentage of the equity of the money that you raise will be going to different sectors of the business? What are the plans there?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, it's a pretty even split. We want to put some more money into R&D so we can continue to build out the snacking range. Digital marketing is another key component.
First and foremost, we need to buy the product to sell. So we need working capital. That's going to be a significant use of funds. So 40%. We've got ongoing overheads in terms of the staffing that we've already got. So we need to continue to pay our people so that they come to work and do great things. We've got high expectations on the traction of this product across the nation, and when you start to range with great retailers, they expect support so that you're making consumers aware of the great range that you've got out there. So we'll be investing in marketing, and it'll be close to the point of purchase in the beginning. Like, we're not going to be doing radio advertising or TV advertising. We're going to be investing at shelf. We're going to be investing in retail publications. We're going to be investing in point of sale to really get, support the run rates of the product at that last sort of 3-second decision. So that's the retail side of the business. On the subscription side of the business, outside of buying the raw materials and the inventory, the most money will be spent on what we call performance marketing. So Google AdWords, Facebook advertising, paid social. We're going to be creating a growth algorithm where you compare your cost of user acquisition to your lifetime value. What we love about the subscription model is that, if we're educating parents and kids on having a healthy shake on a daily basis, that's a nice habitual routine. And if we do the job well, we think that lifetime value and that subscription will be multiple months, ideally between 6 and 9 months, which puts our lifetime value based on how much we're going to be selling this thing for north of $500. So our cost of user acquisition can be, anywhere up to $70, and we're making circa 70% margin on the financial model that we've put together to support this part of the business. So we want to spend, $100,000 to $300,000 over 12 months, really building that out to get those first 1,000 subscribers, and then get a really predictive algorithm where we know how much it's going to cost to recruit the consumers, and then how much in turn the consumer is going to add back from a financial point of view. So that'll be a large slug of the monies that we raise as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And currently, what's your customer database looking like? How big is it?
Well,
not very big right now.
No. I mean, if we look in Australia, yeah, it's not particularly big. I mean, we sold a lot of product in China. We don't own that customer relationship. That's one of the challenges of doing business in China. Alibaba knows all our customers better than what we do. So yeah, it's hard to say. If we look just at the Australian domestic market, then yeah, it's not huge. It's something that we plan to expand upon.
But we haven't really started yet. Like I assume the question is like first party data, like how big's our consumer database? It's not, but we haven't really started. So we've got a database that is the amount of transactions we're running through our website at the moment, which is some, but not much.
Like we're hundreds, not thousands. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. And in terms of research and development for your new products, is that inspired by customers? Will you be taking into consideration some opinions or advice from your new shareholders after your raise? What are your thoughts around that?
I'm always keen to hear other people's opinions. One of my co-founders has a pretty good saying that I can't repeat right now about opinions, but no, that's where we listen. And we're not charging ahead with our own ideas. The only thing that we try to always do is make sure whatever product we make, children enjoy them, right? Because it's not. I mean, what you find with a lot of the health shake market, for example, is people come out with these products that fundamentally the nutritional panel sounds amazing. You mix it up and you give it to a kid, and the kid just goes, and then they don't want to eat it ever again. You get one shot with the kid to make sure that they like a product, to build that healthy habit. If you get the taste wrong, I mean, kids eat with every sense, right? You get the taste wrong, you get the smell wrong, you get the texture wrong. They're not coming back.
Yeah.
And with all these shakes is you might spend $60 on a tin that goes into your cupboard and you never buy it again. And we want habitual health. So we want to make sure the child enjoys it, parent feels good about it, and they build it into a daily routine.
Awesome. And after the raise is completed, how often will you be chatting with investors and communicating with them?
I love to talk, so it can be very often. But we'll put out fortnightly, monthly updates.
That's a good question. Yeah, fortnightly might be a little.
It's probably too much. I mean, I'll probably get.
We'll get it. We haven't, as you can tell, we haven't really locked that in yet. But monthly or quarterly might be the right cadence on all the key metrics. But depending on how many investors there are, there might be an opportunity for other types of connections. Maybe we can do like a webinar like this on a periodic basis, or depending on how many of you all there is, we could do one-to-one. But it'll really depend on the success of the raise, the amount of the investors, and then what how we plan to kind of keep our message going and update on performance.
Yeah, and I think it's more than just updating. One of the reasons we've gone down this path, though, is that with crowdfunding, you get an army of supporters. People put money in because they want to see you do well. So I want to keep reminding people that while you're out there waiting for us to do well, there's stuff that you can be doing for us as well. Tell your family, tell your friends, get out there, spread the word. And that way we all succeed together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the beauty of crowdfunding, is that you've got a big group of people who really want to do well, because if you do well, they do well. So everybody wins in that situation for sure. So what do the next 12 months look like for Pipan Foods?
Well, once we get this raise behind us, I'm hoping my hair goes back to being brown. And then we've got everything's ready to go. The subscription product is ready to release. Doing a little bit of new design work, upgrading the website a little bit. But we've already started all of this. Even chippy apples, that's all ready to go. We're pushing. What fundamental changes do you think we'll make?
I mean, these guys don't have the information we've got, so I'll just say the basics that they probably don't know.
True.
The first thing is we spent 2 days, biggest expo in Australia, and our booth was absolutely rammed. I mean, we got home at 11:30 p.m. last night, and I could have used a few extra hours of sleep, but we've got to capture all those leads. So the next 3 to 6 months, half the team will be focused on landing chippy apples in store, so that when you go to an IGA or when you go to your local retailer, that you can find it in the healthy snacking set. We have to do that. That's a big revenue driver for us, and we make great margin off it. And so that's gonna really help from a cash flow point of view immediately. The second phase will be preparing for a really good D2C launch on our healthy shake that Phil alluded to there. Half the business will be focused on doing that in terms of the people within the business, so that's a really successful launch. The third thing that we'll be doing is continuing to work on the pipeline. We've got some great products. Some of the formulations are almost ready to launch. We've got a squeeze pouch, got another daily nutrient shake for a different area of the supermarket. Those things are probably 8 to 12 months away from being launched. Our ambition is that when we build this route to market domestically through chippy apples, which is kind of the tip of the spear, that then we can use that domestic route to market to plug our other portfolio items into it, like throughout next year. But we're probably about 12 months away from kind of launching new domestic SKUs, because we really want to bring a high degree of focus through chippy apples and then through the D2C subscription model. So we've got 2 big channels. The last component of the business, which is export. Again, I don't want to be over-promising here. I really want to nail it down that we've had a hard pivot. These guys built a pretty successful start of a great export business into markets that are now too difficult to trade in, despite the fact that we had a large amount of revenue and also a large amount of cost setting up that channel. We do expect at some point in the future export to turn on again, and we've got an ex-global commodity trader who would be ready to snap up that opportunity and leverage all of the learnings that we've already had. We're already getting a few orders with our existing network, but it's not what I want you guys to take away to say, oh, these guys are going to be selling, chippy apples into Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Hong Kong, Macau. That's not the growth algorithm that we're going for. It's the nice cream on top. And at some point in time, those markets will open up again, and we're really well placed to capture the opportunity. But I don't think that's going to be in the next 12 months. And I couldn't give you any kind kind of confidence on when, because we don't know. We actually don't know what's going to happen, right? This all took us completely by surprise. And honestly, if the world didn't shut down, I probably wouldn't be sitting here next to Phil, because the opportunity wouldn't have presented for me to come in and help build the domestic route to market. So that's what the next 12 months looks like. It's chippy apples, building the domestic route to market. It's setting up for the D2C. It's kind of keeping our export leads warm whilst we build this beautiful portfolio that we think we can build a big Australian business with great innovation and, putting some fuel on the fire.
He nailed it. But what I would like to point out, I don't like the term pivot, because it suggests that you're turning your back away from something, and we're not doing that at all. We know that the export market is quiet now. We're expanding our focus, we're diversifying. It will come back, but as Mike said, right now we want to anchor ourselves as an Australian company selling here into Australia. So, yeah.
I've got a question from Jenny. Have you looked at having the products in the meal replacement offers such as HelloFresh?
No.
We have.
No, we haven't. Thanks, Jenny. We'll take that on board.
Good suggestion. I mean, it's going like Phil said earlier. The chippy apples quite good as a lunchbox item. And so there's a big channel, which is every school has a canteen or a tuck shop.
Yeah,
I've got a 4-year-old about to go to school next year. Huey, I can see Phil's child running around. 6-year-old, he's got chippy apples at his school, and all the kids are eating them. So there's a lot of different channels outside of the kind of more traditional grocery channels that we think that our product would be appropriate in. We're going to focus on the big stuff first, getting the distributor, getting all of the retail outlets selling it, getting the big volume and the scale going so that we can, make our nice and efficient factory with predictable revenues. And then, like you say, I think there's heaps of opportunity for adjacent channels to start to kind of, scoop up some extra cream and get some more people eating our products.
Yeah, fantastic. So I'm not sure if we've got any more questions, but in terms of what to look out for investors, obviously you'll be launching your offer in a couple of weeks' time, and you'll be communicating with everybody who has expressed interest when that offer is going to go live. In the meantime, have you guys even got the opportunity to answer any questions if people want to reach out to you, if they didn't get all their questions answered today?
Yeah, feel free. Email. I mean, we've been emailing and contacting everyone who's expressed interest. Feel free to reply. We've had the odd reply, which is great. It's great to see. We've tried to call people as well, text people. We're here, we're available. Any questions, any opinions, please fire them through.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, thank you guys for coming today, and thank you for answering everybody's questions. Really appreciate it. As the boys have just said, you're welcome to reach out to them or even to the Birchal team if you need anything at all or have any questions. And we look forward to seeing the offer document when it comes out in a few weeks, guys.
Okay, fantastic. Right. Thanks, Emma. Thanks everyone who tuned in.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Okay.